But I mastered their styles like the 5 deadly venom. So all he had to do was get next to a nigga like that, and he could destroy it.
Believe in that, real. We plan to take the same strategy we use with Death Row West, mind over matter, taking all our weaknesses and making it into our strength. That all these people talk about an East Coast, West Coast war, they like the Judas was to Jesus. They only here to cause confusion. We here to bring money and to bring change. They here to cause confusion. All these weak rappers, Nas, all these suckers, they battling off of East and West like this is a game. This ain't no game. If this was chess, we'd be yelling checkmate 3 years ago, because we've been beat these. It's not a game.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. The only way for me to come back is this Egoveli. Merry Christmas. Now, if you celebrate Christmas, make sure you spend some time with your loved ones. I hope you guys are enjoying and being safe. This video had to come, and it's regarding Andre Ward, because I've noticed some things, and I'm going to really break it down in this particular video, right? Now, this is the thing with Andre Ward. When Floyd Mayweather was active, or on paper, he said before he retired, he was the #1 pound for pound. A lot of people had Ward for the #2 spot for a while, and he was inactive. Then all of his problems seemed to vanish overnight. Rest in peace to Dan Goosen. Dan Goosen passed away. He signed a new Rock Nation deal, and he had actually got a fight in June and fought. So I was like, okay, things are shaping up. Andre Ward is getting back into the swing of things. And then when Mayweather beat Berto and retired, I knew that since the absence of Mayweather would cause some of that hate to move over to Andre Ward, but I did not know it would happen so fast. And that's exactly what I've seen. Since Floyd Mayweather is technically a fighter we shouldn't even be talking about per se, because he's retired now and he's not listed as active, then all of it's like snowballed, and like all of his baggage went to the new person, kind of like a president. If you see someone like George Bush is in office, any mess that he left in his 2 terms, Obama has to clean up, or whatever the situation, whatever the president is. I'm here to talk politics, but whoever the president is, if there's like $1 trillion deficit and the real estate market and the unemployment percentage is through the roof, the new president has to in fact kind of clean all that up, and he's kind of stuck with whatever status the nation is in. And that's kind of what happened with Andre Ward, but it happened so fast. Now, the reason for this video is because the level of hatred for Andre Ward, at least in the comment section, is through the roof. And it's not even just the comment section. It's also some of these media and journalists and writers and stuff like that. And it's crazy. Now, I told you guys I have no problem, no shame. I'm from the Bay Area. Andre Ward is from the Bay Area. However, that doesn't equal any bias, because the thing is, we could both be from the same area, but I didn't put that Olympic gold medal around his neck. You know what I'm saying? I didn't give him the skill. So therefore, I've always kept it real. There's no reason for me to lie. The stuff that I say about Ward, I truly feel. And a lot of it is actual factual information. Ward is an Olympic gold medalist. Ward is 31 years old. Ward is undefeated. Ward has beat guys like Carl Froch Kessler, Abram, Darnell Boone, etc. Edwin Rodriguez. These are all facts. So you get a lot of facts with what I'm saying. In addition, you get some of my opinions. But again, it's not biased. And some of you guys get on here like, oh, you need to have a debate with this channel and that channel. No, I don't need to have a debate. My videos are my debates. When I make a video and I'm making my point, then you can listen to what I'm saying. This is what I challenge all boxing fans to do. Listen to what I say in my videos, right? And compare it to whoever you think you want me to debate, and tell me what makes more sense. Tell me what is more fabricated or kind of speculative, circumstantial, and personal opinion, and tell me what is more fact. Like, again, when I'm talking about Ward, a lot of what I say is just factual, irrefutable things. It's not like, oh, yeah, Ward. And Ward's not even my favorite fighter. I just like him, and I respect the dude. You know what I'm saying? But he's not my fight. I never, ever once said, oh, Ward was my all-time. I told you guys, my all-time favorite fighters, for the record, if you're new to the channel, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, and Prince Nassim. Those are my particular. And then I have other people who are like more of the newer school, like not as old school, like the Floyd Mayweathers, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., guys like that are really high on my list too. You know, I got tons. That's just the gist of it, the surface area. But it's hard with so many different divisions. But anyway, I'm all about equality, and it has to be fair. Now, the thing that I'm noticing with Ward is he's getting a lot of unfair criticism, and that's what I'm noticing. And it wouldn't, like, if he just stepped up, Floyd retired, Ward got in position, and he just started receiving a lot of criticism, and I felt it was just, then I'd be like, okay, whatever. You have the bulls on your back, you're in the number one pound for pound spot. But a lot of what he's getting is total bullshit, because they're not giving that same type of criticism to other guys like Gennady Golovkin, guys like whoever you like, Canelo, whoever the person is. These are all good fighters that I'm mentioning. These are guys all at the top. Some people are A-listers or A-side for various reasons, the way they look, how they've been promoted. There's different things. It's boxing, you know what I'm saying? But the same rules don't apply. For example, looking at Ward and Golovkin. I like Golovkin. He's a good fighter. He's a solid fighter. But the fact is, Golovkin is 33 years old. He's undefeated. Ward is 31 years old. He's undefeated. Amateur pedigree. Golovkin has a lot of fights, over 300 fights, and he placed silver. He got a silver medal. Ward has an Olympic gold medal at light heavyweight, right? These are facts. This is not, oh, Ego, you just made this up because you're from the Bay. No, this is a fact. You know what I'm saying? And the other fact, the most important fact, is when you compare resumes in a guy who's 31 and undefeated, 31 years old and undefeated, and then the other guy who's 33 and undefeated, then it's night and day. The bodies that Ward has on his record is night and day from Golovkin, and that's just a fact. You guys got to live with that until Golovkin keeps fighting and fighting. And this is the thing. A lot of people, they brag about how inactive Ward has been. Oh, he only fights once a year. Oh, I thought he was retired. Like, notice when I make a point, I don't have to derive from boxing. A lot of you guys do that. You know what I'm saying? In the comment section. Oh, I thought Ward was retired. Oh, did his wife cheat on him? You know what I mean? Just dumb stuff that has nothing to do. Oh, Floyd's a wife beater. You know what I mean? You guys have to bring, it's the most, I've been doing this too long. It's the most common trick in the book. When you're failing at an argument or when you don't know enough about the side you're trying to argue for, then you have to resort to like low blows or additional things. Like, it's just like a fighter. If you don't have the skill to beat like a Mayweather, then you have to try to do like Maidana and rough them up, rabbit punch, hit low. You know what I'm saying? You have to do whatever you got to do to try to win that fight. You know what I mean? Because you clearly can't outbox Mayweather if you're a Maidana. You know what I'm saying? And that's what these fans do. They have to defer and deflect. Instead of talking about Ward's resume and Gennady Golovkin's resume and the actual facts, like one's a silver medalist, one's a gold medalist, one's 31, one's 33, and the names that they have on their resume and who they were at the time, they bring up other stuff. Oh, Ward, oh, I don't like it. He didn't even do good in Creed. Like, what does that have to do? His performance in Creed, what does that have to do with Ward as a professional fighter? Creed's a movie, you know what I mean? And people, oh, I thought he was retired. But let me get back to it. So the whole point is this. The criticism is not evenly distributed. And the fact is that the same thing that you guys, a lot of you guys who hate Ward or whatever, that you try to chastise him for, is the same nail in the coffin. And nobody can intelligently explain this. Ward has been inactive. He's been plagued with some injuries. Hand injuries, I think his shoulder. He's been plagued with legal issues where he was trying to make a statement and a stand with what he didn't agree with his promotional. And I'm not going to drudge all that stuff up because it's over now, right? But the bottom line is for those reasons, he's been out of the sport for periods of time. Meanwhile, you got a fighter who's undefeated from Kazakhstan and Gennady Golovkin, right? Who, since he hit HBO maybe in like 2011 against Gregor Proska, he's just been a fan-friendly fighter. People like him. And at times he's fighting 2 to 4 times a year, right? And in that time where he was fighting 2 to 4 times a year annually and Ward was fighting once every 3 years, Triple G still hasn't come anywhere near Triple G or Andre Ward's resume. That has to show you something. What does that tell you? A guy that's fighting 3 to 4 times a year and his resume is still nowhere near as good as the Kesslers, Carl Froch, Arthur Abram, Chad Dawson, Edwin Rodriguez. Chad Dawson called out Ward. He said, "I'll come down to you." So, I mean, if he was weight drained or whatever people want to use for an excuse now as a patsy, that's his fault. He shouldn't have called him out and said, "I'll meet you at 68. He was the champ at light heavyweight. He should have tried to get a catch weight or whatever. Edwin Rodriguez had just won a tournament, I think in Monaco, where he knocked out Dennis, I forgot his last name, it starts with an L, in one round and won the whole tournament. Edwin Rodriguez was undefeated. And see, the beauty of covering boxing is you get little inside secrets, and I know people in the Ward camp, and there's little information that I'm privy to, some off record, some on record. And one thing that I could tell you guys is in 2 fights, actually back-to-back since he was inactive, Ward versus Edwin Rodriguez, Rodriguez failed to make weight, right? And then he came in the night of the fight over 190 pounds. Same thing with Paul Smith. Paul Smith, I was at that fight. He missed the weigh-in by 4 pounds. Then they renegotiated the new weight, since he had already failed to make the initial weigh-in, that he couldn't rehydrate above. Then they renegotiated the new weight that he could not rehydrate above the next day on fight night. And he failed that weigh-in too in the morning. So Ward was actually supposed to collect some money, and they still let the fight go on just because, I guess, the event, it was the first fight on BET. It was the first fight with Rock Nation and Ward. So they allowed the fight to go on. But that was another instance where they said Paul Smith was 187 to 194 pounds on fight night. So that's a killer tactic, especially guys like Edwin Rodriguez who are known punchers. And it's evident that Edwin Rodriguez can crack because he's moved up to light heavyweight since the Ward fight. And he's still getting some knockouts up there at light heavyweight. And when he fought Ward, it was at 168. So back to Paul Smith. Paul Smith missed weight. And then they renegotiated a second weight that, since he had already missed the first, to keep the fight going on. And then the morning of the fight, he missed that weight also. And based on the event, it was the first fight with Rock Nation and Ward, first fight on BET. They decided to let him slide, even though he missed 2 weigh-ins, right? And they said on the night of the fight, he was weighing, again, 187 to 194 pounds, somewhere right around there. So when people are saying, "Oh, Ward got clipped, it looked like he got buzzed in round 7," he should get buzzed if he's in there with someone who's 194 pounds on fight night, right? So people don't put things like that into consideration when they're talking about fighters. You got a guy in Andre Ward who, like a lot of you guys, the people who are hating on Ward, say is inactive, right? Ward's inactive. We all know that. Yet he's still disciplined enough to make the catch weight no problem, right? And Arthur Abram fought Paul Smith, I believe, 2 times in the same year. And Paul Smith is a 168 pounder. You got a little bit of a cushion because this fight was taking place over the 168 mark at like 173 or whatever it was, 172. And you're a 168 pound fighter and you can't even make a catch weight of over 171 pounds. But Ward can, and he's the inactive one. So it just shows you the level of discipline. And here's another little tidbit that I know some of you guys don't know. So after Ward beats Paul Smith, he's owed a penalty for Paul Smith losing or missing weight twice. He's supposed to get fined a certain percentage. But Ward was, being the gracious person that he is, he told him, he said, "You know what? You don't even have to pay me. You know what I'm saying? The fee, the 20% or whatever that they're going to try to charge you, you don't have to pay that portion." I mean, he might have to still pay the commission, their portion or whatever. But Ward said, "The part you owe me, I'm not even going to collect." And he easily could have taxed him because it's on contract what you're supposed to weigh in at. And you bend the rules. But I guess he was content enough. I already got the victory, got a stoppage, I'm back. So, oh well, I don't need the money. You know what I'm saying? So just little random acts of kindness like that. He didn't have to do that, especially when a guy was created his own rules that weren't initiated on the contract. So no matter how you slice it, Ward clearly has a better resume than Gennady Golovkin. And you could say it's because of a Super 6 tournament, or Golovkin wasn't being managed properly, or whatever the situation is. He's being ducked. That's a popular one. But guess what? That does not change the outcome. That does not change what is tangible. That does not change the names on his resume. Golovkin is not the first fighter in the history of the sport of boxing, which has been going on for over a century, you know what I mean, that's been ducked. Aaron Pryor has been ducked. Terry Norris, there's a lot of guys that people didn't want to fight. They weren't anxious to fight. And you look back at their resume and they still have some good names on there. So, you know what I mean? Being ducked is one thing. There's a lot of Paul Williams. People didn't want to fight Paul Williams. People didn't want to fight Sergio Martinez after he knocked out Paul Williams. But he got some type of fights, you know what I'm saying? And he at least accomplished what he needed to do in the sport, right? So that's one thing. And I don't want to hear all these excuses on why. The end result is the same. And Golovkin, like I keep saying, he's a good fighter, but we don't ultimately know how good he'll be at the pro level at age 33 until he steps in there with whoever is willing to face him and whoever's an elite level name with some good experience, who's on a win streak and stuff like that. So it just sounds asinine that people slander Andre Ward when he has been inactive, but he's done more with that inactivity. To me, that's an even bigger problem. That's like, let's say I give up YouTube and I don't make videos for a year and a half or whatever length of time Andre Ward was inactive, right? Let's say a year and a half. We'll use a year and a half. So I'm not making a single new upload on my YouTube channel. And there's another channel who's coming around. They're in the boxing. They're doing the same thing. And I come back. I finally resurrect. Ego resurrected a year and a half later after not dropping a single upload. And a year and a half later, I come back and say, you know what, I'm back. I had to work out some things, but I'm back. And that person still hasn't caught up to me in subscribers or views. What does that tell you? So you had a year and a half without worrying about me to get your shine, to get your ratings, to not fight me, whatever the situation is, to shine. And you still haven't caught up to Andre Ward's resume. And it's not even that you haven't caught up. You're nowhere near his resume, right? So that's the facts. These are the facts. So don't ask me to debate people. This is the debate. You'll hear it in my videos when I'm telling you guys facts. So again, I'm not bashing Golovkin, but I'm also not giving him credit for things he has yet to do. Like, I would pick Golovkin to beat Canelo. That's my personal opinion. But I still want to see the fight because I've been wrong before. I was like, man, Porter, something's telling me to go with him, but I'm going to pick Broner. And then I picked Broner, and I was dead wrong, right? Even though he showed a little bit of life in the 12th round, but I was wrong. So, again, that's what boxing's about. There's a lot of upsets. People weren't picking Amir Imam to lose. That was just another fight for him. And then what happened? Granados came, and he was ready to scrap. So, again, I can't give credit for Golovkin, even though I think he's the best middleweight. If he hasn't fought Canelo, he hasn't fought Danny Jacobs or the guys like that. You know what I'm saying? I would favor him to beat Danny Jacobs, but I still want to see it. He's not, Jacobs is a live dog in there, right? So let's talk back to Ward. Now, this whole situation with him possibly facing Sullivan Barrera in March of 2016, in my opinion, when I first read the news, I was like, that should be commended. That's a good fight. That's a solid fight, right? And for whatever reason, the level of hatred Ward is getting, it's like nothing is ever good enough, right? You look at it, and this is not a sob story. I really don't care about stuff like that. I'm just telling you what I've seen. Ward, they initially announced some guy no one's ever heard of for his first fight at light heavyweight, right? And the Nevada State Athletic Commission, NSAC, they denied it. Like, no, you can't fight that dude. So then they replaced it, and they were trying to make him on the Cotto Canelo undercard. They're like, hey, fight Alexander Brand. I believe he's a 168-pounder, willing to move up, but he has knockout power or knockout record, right? And fans were still mad. Like, who is this Brand dude? He's coming up, blah, 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 right? And nonetheless, Ward gets hurt, and he says, you know what? It's just best that I pull out because I got an injury in my knee. You know what I mean? Most likely the feedback, the backlash from that opponent, they probably figured, like, why rush it just to be on this Cotto Canelo undercard when we have some kind of injury and we can probably get our own main event date on HBO better, have more time to prepare and plan, basically, right? People say, oh, he's not really hurt. He just pulled out. So first of all, you guys said, and I'm saying you guys loosely, I'm talking about the people who hate Ward. First of all, you said the guy he was fighting was a bum. So why would he have to lie and pull out with an injury when he wasn't afraid to fight the guy because the guy is a nobody and a bum? You know what I'm saying? How does that make sense? You see, this is how I know who knows boxing, because some of you guys aren't even sensible. You call the guy a bum that he was going to fight, but then you say he's faking an injury. He's not really injured. He's scared of this guy. So he was a bum, but now when he pulls out, he's scared of the guy. You know, see how dumb that sounds? Why would you pull out from a fight unless you were like afraid of losing? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, moving on. So we know Kovalev is supposed to be the main course in 2016, and Ward's going to acclimate himself to a new division, light heavyweight, right? And the Alexander brand was out. Now they're talking about Sullivan Barrera, and that's still a problem. People are talking about, oh yeah, but Sullivan Barrera, they try to lowball him, right? And this is my thing. This is my job. This is my full-time job. I don't work anywhere else. This is what I do. I talk boxing, cover boxing, right? But that's the only reason why I ever bring up financials. Like when I'm talking to, just having a conversation with my brother about fighting, I never bring up like A-side financial talk. We just talk boxing. Oh, that's a good fight. Quillen Jacobs, that's a good, you see that? You know what I mean? That's the type of conversations we have. So my point being is, for me, the only reason you'll hear me talk about purses and splits and A-sides and stuff, because I'm reporting. This is what I do, right? But if I'm just as a civilian, I don't care about that. So my point is, neither should you. A lot of people, they always get into the numbers of the fight. Like, oh yeah, Pacquiao deserves. Why do you care if Pacquiao gets 60-40 or 50-50? That's up to them and their promotional team, what they're willing to agree to. Why do you care? You're not going to see a dime of it. If Pacquiao gets 150 million or 225 million, you won't see a red cent. So who cares? Same thing with the Sullivan Barrera. All of a sudden, everybody has an opinion. Everybody got to open their motherfucking mouth with an opinion about how much Sullivan Barrera should be getting. Oh, no, he got lowballed, man. Why do you care? Second of all, when I don't know the actual number, I'm not in the negotiating room floor or whatever, and this is not, by far, it's not a done deal yet, but the number I heard was in the neighborhood of $350,000 for Sullivan Barrera's purse. And from what I heard, Team Barrera, Abel Sanchez or whatever were like, nah, that's light. That's not enough money, right? And then fans are jumping in, oh yeah, it's a low ball. But we look at boxing, and I'm going to show you some purses. Willie Monroe fought Gennady Golovkin, who's the middleweight killer and the feared guy, right? He got $100,000 for his purse, right? Devin Alexander fought Jesus Soto Caras. He got about $450,000. Jesus Soto Caras got $150,000, right? Lomachenko versus Gary Russell Jr. That was a good fight on paper. Everyone wanted to see that one. Neither one of them cracked over $500,000. They got 400 and change. So when we're talking about Sullivan Barrera, I like the guy. I watch him. He actually follows me on Instagram as well. I like him. But who is he? Like in the grand scheme of things, who is he to be like, oh, I'm an A-side or I'm getting $850,000 to $1 million? You know what I mean? For the most part, a lot of people don't even, aside from the extremist fans and the diehard boxing fans, a lot of people don't even know who Sullivan Barrera is, to keep it all the way real. He doesn't speak English, so it's not like a lot of people who only speak English have seen him in interviews and stuff like that. He's a good fighter. He has knockout power, but he's not like an A-side or a well-known name. Like, I've seen his fights on ESPN, and he had a couple fights, but he hasn't had those big platforms, nor has he had those big fights. But it's still a good fight, because I personally am a boxing fan, so I've seen enough of him to know that it should be solid. He has a good coach in Abel Sanchez. He just knocked out Cairo Murat, who went the distance with a guy like Bernard Hopkins, so that shows me something. He has power. He's Cuban. You know what I mean? We know the Cuban boxing school. So it's a good fight. But again, when we're talking about numbers, what are we really saying? One, why do you care? Like I said earlier. And then two, Like, why do you care what they're getting purse wise? And then two, what has he done to earn or substantiate something much larger? It's not, oh, because I'm fighting a risky guy. You're both undefeated. You know what I mean? You don't get more of a purse because you're fighting. You know what I mean? Oftentimes the guy like Triple G, when he fought Monroe, he got 1.5 million dollars to fight Monroe, and he fought 100,000. And Willie Monroe fought for 100,000. So the point being is, oftentimes when you're fighting the guy who is the A side of the equation, you're not going to get anything remotely near the purse that they're getting. Mayweather fought Maidana. Maidana got, I think he got in the first fight maybe about 2 million, 1.4 to 2 million, and Mayweather got a guaranteed 32 million plus pay-per-view back end stuff. So again, when you're fighting someone who's clearly done more than you in the sport, clearly more of a notable name and the quote-unquote A side, most often you're not going to get the greatest purse. But the good that comes from it is if Sullivan Barrera beats Andre Ward, you're both undefeated. So if you knocked out Ward, something that Darnell Boone, Chad Dawson, Carl Froch, Kessler, Edwin Rodriguez, other power punchers, Sakio Bika, none of them have been able to do that. So if Sullivan Barrera had did that, beat him, then you have arrived. Like, damn, we just seen Ward in Creed, and he did him like Ward did Creed. You know what I'm saying? He knocked him out. So again, that's why you fight A-level guys a lot of times, to challenge yourself, to test yourself, and for the opportunity, because you know there will be bigger paychecks in the future if you defeat them, right? Only you know your true skill. So it is what it is. So the whole thing with Andre Ward is just ridiculous. People are hating. And the thing is, it's not a definite in stone fight with Sullivan Barrera, but what more can he do? The Nevada State Athletic Commission, they threw out the idea of the first fight. Then the Alexander Brand fight fizzled out and didn't work. And then now his next opponent, they're looking at a guy like Sullivan Barrera, a guy with knockout power, and that as a prelude to a Sergey Kovalev, and people are mad at that. People are angry. Let the negotiations handle themselves out. Why would you even be remotely concerned? That's what I'm saying. That's how you know that boxing is not about like affirmative action or equality or fairness, because people are like, okay, the first two Ward opponents, I didn't even know those dudes, straight up. Alexander Brand and the other dude, I didn't even know him. But I was like, okay, it's his first fight at light heavy. They're just trying to get him acclimated, get him some exposure, Cotto Canelo. So it is what it is. I understand the business, right? But Sullivan Barrera, he could be a real spoiler, because not even if Ward beat Sullivan Barrera, if he doesn't beat him impressively, or if he got knocked down 3 times and then won or something, then that hurts the Kovalev fight in the future. So that's a risky fight for Ward, and people still complain. Meanwhile, and this is just my opinion, we have yet to see somebody who matches up on paper with the same type of challenge like this for Gennady Golovkin. And again, you guys, I'm not debating people. You guys look at the facts. Like, really look at them, analyze the facts. And here's a side-by-side of Andre Ward, right, and Sullivan Barrera. They're both undefeated. Ward's 28-0. Sullivan Barrera 17-0. He has 12 knockouts, so 71% knockout ratio. He's taller than Andre Ward at 6 foot 2 inches, and he has 73-inch long arms. Ward is 6 foot, so he's 2 inches shorter, and his arms are 2 inches shorter. And Sullivan Barrera has probably been more active, and he has a good coach in Abel Sanchez. Very dangerous fight. So, again, you guys do the research. Tell me who Golovkin, Triple G has fought that posed this type of threat. I'm talking about a guy who's 2 inches taller than him, a guy with 71% knockout ratio, a guy with longer arms than him, right? And a guy who had looked good in his recent fights. You look at Sullivan Barrera's last couple of fights, he has a knockout in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. His last 6 fights have been knockouts, and he's undefeated. And there's been some guys like Jeff Lacey who, yeah, you can say he's faded, but he's still a name. You know what I'm saying? Tell me who Golovkin has fought that had that type of advantage, like where he wasn't much taller with longer arms. The guy had power and could crack. The only advantage that Ward really has is pro level experience, and he's younger. He's 2 years younger, because Sullivan Barrera is 33 years old. But I mean, we all know the Cuban school. Again, this is a dangerous fight, and people are still complaining about the fight and the parameters. So that's how you know that boxing is on that bullshit. They just love to find the worst in the fighters that they don't care for, and the fighters that they do want to support, they always find the good. They made it like David Lemieux was going to be the Hagler Hearns. Yo, I did a video, 7 reasons Triple G beats David Lemieux, and the shit came true. It was dead on. You know what I mean? I didn't have to watch tape more than what I had already seen. Nothing. Because most of Golovkin's opponents in recent memory, he's the clear favorite. This is a new fighter, a guy with some momentum, with power, a Cuban schooling, right? And the guy is at a new division. Like, Ward is not, we don't even know what Ward, you know what I'm saying? We've seen Ward get knocked down by Boone in a lighter division. So this is dangerous waters. This is dangerous territory. And people still complain. So I feel like I've done justice in this video, got out what I needed to say about Andre Ward. If y'all are boxing fans, just be that. Be boxing fans. Like, some of you guys are ridiculous with the standards you hold certain fighters to. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.